I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we said it to the American Texas flag.
We face north.
Oh.
You got a statement? No.
That's why I love that.
They're in spirit.
I was looking for the American. We wanted to face the river.
The river. Face north.
Because it's a point.
And it's red, white, and blue. So
can we get now roll call?
Yolanda Gutierrez Garcia.
I'm here.
Armando Lopez.
Present.
Gail Ava Rodriguez. Not here. Julio Mendez.
Here.
Dr. Martha Villarreal. Not here. Dr. Colin Campbell.
Here.
Hector Chapa.
Here.
Robert Lopez.
here.
Angie Moore. Not here. We have a quorum.
Thank you.
I haven't seen Angie in a while.
She answered that she's coming.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
she's coming running like she emailed me.
Are we having any citizens comments or?
I think they're all here to speak on the cultural district designation.
Okay. Okay, then let's go ahead. The minutes, did anybody get a chance to read the minutes? Are we going to be able to approve them? Do we have any changes on it?
I wasn't here, but I'll move it that they be approved.
Not a second. Yeah, do we have any yeses? Any nays? Nope. Okay, then it passes. Approved. Any communications or announcements on this? No communications. Staff reports, Bureau promotions, event.
Just a reminder, you should have all received an email. The event is scheduled for tomorrow here at the library at 5 o'clock. So hopefully, can make it. There'll be refreshments.
Okay.
That's an incentive.
It's at 5 o'clock. I should be able to come in for a little while.
Which room will that be in?
In the multi-purpose, the big room.
Any status on this, the murals that we have?
That's on hold right now because of the ordinance. It also includes the maintenance of public art. So for now, no update.
No update on that. Okay. The titles for Yo-Yo Ma, as we remember last time, we were going to take them to the Laredo Center for the Arts. I haven't been able to do it because I need to get one of the students over there, and the classes have not started. And I've been busy. But,
okay, I did speak to the Public Works Director, and he's willing to do it.
Okay.
But I did need to get approval from City Manager or interim city, and she's okay with that, and there might be some funds there for that.
Yeah, I did speak to Rosie over there, and she had an allocation for the display.
Is it going to be on the front?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I told the Public Works. And he said, yes, they can do it. I just needed the approval, and I have an email where she says to proceed.
Very good. And,
who has the tiles? I think last time.
They are at TAMIU.
At TAMIU?
In the ceramics room. So I can probably take them over next week.
To Rosie, and when they're there, let me know, because he does want to look at how the floor is set and how they would do it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we move to the Texas Commission for the Agricultural District? Since someone has to leave right away, I'd like to take a look at that presentation and maybe you all can continue.
Who's next in terms of an officer?
An officer?
But I'm not an officer. You. No, I'm not.
I think you can elect one right now. Before.
A provisional?
A provisional.
Okay.
I'm sure that somebody will get here in a minute. I'll go ahead.
Okay, in the event, then I'll propose that we'll continue the meeting in my place and Gail's place. Do I get an okay on that? Yeah.
Would we still have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need 5 for a quorum, and these would be the 5 that will be written.
Very good. Okay, then let's go ahead and move with the discussion and possible action on the Texas Commission for the Arts Cultural District Designation Program.
And we have with us Ms. Elisa Cigarro and Teresa Milano and Linda Lamantia.
having us.
Thank you for
Oh,
bringing us.
wow, we're all ready. Oh,
Oh, sure. So the Texas Commission on the Arts currently has 45 cultural districts across the state of Texas. Houston has 5, Dallas has 1, San Antonio has 3, and we're applying for 1. And we want all, I know we've spoken with you before and gotten your approval on going forward with it. So we are making headway and getting more people involved. We have a deadline of January 15th for the letter of intent, and the application is due in June. The letter of intent needs to be signed by
mid-January.
by everybody in the community. We just want everybody's input in the community, the artists, the business leaders, the city council and the mayor. It's very important that the Texas Commission sees that the community is behind this and is willing to support it and feels that it's a viable and valuable asset for the community.
So yeah, there are cities that have gone for the cultural district, and if they do not have the full support of the city, it is seen as a negative, and they have not received the designation. So that's why I said we're kind of slowly reaching out to people, trying to get our energy together, band together, and make this happen. But what we have today for you is a couple of videos. This year there were 12 applications that were submitted to the TCA. By January, I believe 6 of them submitted letters of intent, and then, 12 submitted letters of intent, 6 submitted applications, and 3 were granted the designation of the cultural district. There's no set number, there's no, quota. It just is whoever they feel is ready. We were looking through examples. Salado, Texas was one that several years ago they went for a district. They did not receive it. They told them that their marketing was not quite on par with, setting a good image for the district. They went back, they worked on their marketing, submitted the following year and got it. So I think we see this as a positive. I mean, we're obviously going for broke and going for everything, but if for some reason something were to happen, TCA is very forthcoming with their criteria of what they feel like you didn't meet, so you have the opportunity to go back and revisit it and come back even stronger.
And I will add that they are really excited about us applying, and they really want to see Laredo get a cultural district. They have a lot of connections to Laredo, a couple of the commissioners do, and they're so willing to help us every step of the way. They want us to keep them informed because they really want us to get this.
What are the geometric parameters that you all envision for the district?
Well, what we're looking at right now, do you have that on the slide?
We didn't, we're talking about some area downtown, but what we're saying, we need input from the community, because you'll see here, both of these videos talk real quickly about their district, their programs, and they'll show you the map, and you'll see that they've gotten a little bit creative where they'll have a wing that'll go out just like you would grab San Bernardo, or there's a wing that would go out that would grab LC. So I think those boundaries need to be discussed with all the entities and see how we can embrace as many people as possible, but still have a real strong, interconnected
Because
district.
we have like TAMIU as a hub of art in the north, disconnected from downtown, and so I was just, are you suggesting?
It's very difficult to connect TAMIU at this stage. That's not to say that we can't apply for a second cultural district.
Just wanted to make sure that was.
But we do have TAMIU in talks with us, and they are on board.
It has physical boundaries, but remember it's also about the entities that belong to it. So there's very creative ways that, because of how like Yo-Yo Ma and TAMIU participated, they're very much a part of the cultural district, even though they're not part of the confines and the boundaries that we're looking at very early on here. They're still very connected to it. So I think that's what we have to be cognizant of is, even though it has boundaries, we've got to get really creative on bringing everybody into the loop.
Yeah, I'm obviously supportive of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And so these are examples of other cities' videos that we have.
So the application process is the 50 or so pages. It's the numbers from the chamber or the numbers from your economic, but it's the heads and beds, all the activities going on. But there's also a component that is the video, and that video is how you best describe and set forth your vision of your cultural district. So these are 2 very, very different videos. These were both awarded the designation just here earlier this month. This is Denton, but this will kind of give you an idea of what the cultural district encompasses.
I want to buy that hotel in 380 on all the malls across the Why is it you can't walk down the street without stumbling over somebody playing an instrument?
It's no wonder Denton is a certified music-friendly community. But as of late, the Hip Vibe in Denton is more than that. There are thriving venues anchored by the historic square, innovative, creative, diverse, and authentic. And that sets the original Denton district apart from any other place in Texas.
A lot of times you heard, oh, Denton's the new Little Austin. I was never so grateful when we got away from that, because Denton is Denton, and there is no comparison.
Denton's cultural district is centered downtown, where our community first began. The area encompasses the creative people, unique places, and authentic cultural resources that make Denton, unusual and eccentric in the best way. It truly is a place all its own. Our district is formed around an existing concentration of cultural assets, clustered in a walkable area that we want to promote to both visitors and residents.
I also experience that a bit vicariously when someone from out of town comes here and plays a show, goes out to eat, has a coffee, has a drink, and experiences kind of this, especially this downtown area that we have, and they're blown away.
I don't know how aware people are of how the arts is fueling our economy. When you have, in any community where art is featured, you're improving the quality of life for its residents. They have a place to go, the children are exposed to art, they can see their own possibilities. The arts here make all the difference in the world.
We have to recognize the value of the creative economy as an integral part of Denton's overall business community. That creativity was on display with two unique art pieces. We simply asked people to show us what they loved about Denton. This artist showed us what we already knew to be true. We may be a little odd, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
So it's called Band on the Run, and it's supposed to be kind of this story of these two people that are just kind of on the run from somebody you don't really know. They still have their instruments on their back. I feel like I'm most often encouraged by fellow artists, but inspired by people that probably wouldn't consider themselves artists. And so I think that's what's cool, again, about Denton, is the interaction, that's possible between maybe art appreciators and art creators.
DBFF, Denton Black Film Festival, we do two things. We share Black culture and we build community. I think it's really a perfect fit for the city of Denton because what we try to do is really define what Black culture really is.
What's important about Denton having a cultural district is because it represents the years of hard work with the city council, with the community as a whole, to really create a destination for the arts, a place where people can apply their craft. It really has created the fabric of this community and really given it its soul that makes Denton stand out.
You've seen the wall, and it's a 91 feet long wall by 17 feet high. And that's not an opportunity you want to pass over as a visual artist.
We kind of did some Denton history research and thought, let's just make it as weird as possible, and that seemed to work. Denton really encourages people to let their freak flag fly, and it has always.
But the level of just sheer musicianship in this town is something that should just absolutely be worshipped. That people have access to honestly some of the best musicians they will ever hear just by walking down the street on a nightly basis. This isn't normal. This is not normal, and that needs to be encouraged and nourished and protected.
So you'll see that one's very centered around music and film and this is Arts Longview. You'll see that it's got a very different approach, but they also receive the same designation.
Welcome to Arts Longview. Join us on a journey through the Pine Curtain to Longview, where we have our own East Texas flavor and very unique culture. And mix a little bit of
it's important that we have this designation to help grow what we're already doing in the city of Longview, to make it just a fantastic place to come and visit.
We have a thriving visual, performing, and culinary arts community. This cultural hub starts with our artists.
I am so honored to be back here with Longview Valley Theater performing, and I've learned so much, and it's opened so many opportunities for me.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Neil McCoy from Longview, located in the old East Texas Piney Woods of beautiful Northeast Texas. On behalf of all the folks from Longview and me, we feel we're very rich in diversity when it comes to cultural art. We love it here. We love being in Texas, and I won't even begin to talk about all the great music. Well, maybe I will. The great music comes out of here.
Come taste the flavor of Longview, where we have little Cajun kitchens and top 10 Texas barbecue all within our district.
So we're here in Longview, Texas at the original Bodacious. We like to think it's like the flavor of East Texas right now. We help put East Texas on the barbecue map.
Fine food and fine arts are a great marriage together. You've got Laredo, you've got Picasso, and then you've got Cardi's Barbecue, and you've got me. So all that together, you've got fine food and fine art. That's all you need for Longview to make it happen.
Becoming a cultural arts district has cemented our arts organizations with a unity of purpose. Arts Longview has become an arts family. Come join our family.
As a business owner in the field of the arts, I've seen the commitment that the city has had towards the arts, and I appreciate it because it draws creative people to our community.
Businesses moving to Longview value creative people, and creative people want cultural districts.
A thriving cultural arts community has been shown to help drive commerce in a community. When people come to visit one venue, they often go to a second or a third, not to mention the restaurants and hotels and other businesses they might visit.
One of the benefits of a thriving cultural arts community is the attraction of new talent for businesses that are here in the community.
Longview has a rich history of providing cultural opportunities for East Texas. To be considered for this designation makes our community very excited about what's to come.
Longview has an intrinsic creative energy. It's a place where freedom of expression in all art forms is encouraged.
At R2, I've met many new friends, and I hope to encourage more people to come and join in on the fun. I'd love to be a part of an environment where I can be creative and show off my natural self.
Longview's a special place. We think about creativity, about the arts. Look at the icons Longview has produced. A world-famous country music superstar, renowned fashion designer. For so many reasons, Longview deserves this designation. I'm excited about seeing it happen.
The idea of the Cultural Arts District recognizes the importance of art to the community's well-being. This will weave art into the fabric of the community instead of having it over in a gallery or over in a museum. I think that if the artists will unite, it will be for the benefit of the community as well as the artist. It's a quality of life issue.
At Arts Longview, we're about art, history, and culture. We are the art and soul of Longview.
I travel the nation and I do house concerts, performances, and shows all over the place where I combine music and poetry and put it together. I felt an immediate energy. I felt an immediate sense of welcoming. I've got to figure out a way to spend some more time with Longview.
There's never been a better time. Now's the time for Longview.
The time for Longview is now.
The time for Longview is now.
The time for Longview is now.
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 So there. You see what they present to get the golden ticket. But I think when we started looking at it, the application process is lengthy. I know Renee and some of you have all talked about that. But part of the application process is talking about your strengths, which is obviously what's portrayed in these videos, but it's also talking about your weaknesses and your goals. So those are things that we all have to come together and work on. But we've got the basis, we've got the fabric for it. It's just working through those minute little details and working through those little hurdles that we've got. But that's the whole point of getting the designation, is being able to have that opportunity to open up that door for funding for these programs and the things that you need to fix in your district. So those are the things they want to encourage, and they understand it's not a perfect, it's not a perfect scenario for any one city, and the city of 30,000 is very different than the city of Houston of millions. So they all just have to work with what they've got.
And they don't expect us to have all the answers in the application. They do want us to identify the problems, and those are things that once we get the designation, because I'm very positive we will get it, we are then eligible to apply for grants that will help with the funding that we might need for some things that the city might not be able to provide, or private funding might not be able to provide, as well as the other organizations, you know, the Laredo Theater Guild and the Center for the Arts. All the organizations down there can then also apply for grants for the Texas Commission for the Arts once we get the designation within the cultural district.
What do you need from us right now? I mean,
Your support.
I'm just saying, is there anything specific?
Your support, talk about the first event that we're
Do we need to come into council? Because that's where we flow upwards to council.
Yes.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, anything, well, okay, I'm just talking about specifics.
I think
Because,
eventually we will.
Yeah.
I mean, who designates the person to do the video? Who's gonna do the writing?
That'll be all of us and all
Okay,
these groups.
so you have a workshop and we can all go and.
Yes, so
many.
Yes, we want to have many workshops that we get input from the community and feedback, and also we've also been working. Well, we met with the city planner, and he's really enthusiastic about.
So Kirby, we're already working on an October 10th. It's a Thursday. I think it's at 6 p.m. we were talking about. But we were
Is Jamboree before that or after that?
It is.
That's before Jamboree.
So can we get somebody to videotape that?
Yes.
Because you'll need it for your video.
We usually video.
Okay, good.
But we have a videographer
That's what I wanted.
is working with us that will also.
I think that the film group that we have in town was also interested in participating in this.
You probably just, between now and whenever.
We have till June, so we have 8 months. So there's some.
Go get a little snippet of whatever's going on. There's something on tonight. Tammy, you.
And from I'm Aline Ramos, I'm with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we've also met, and we have, all of our photography and video that we have.
Lots of beautiful things.
Yeah, it's available for y'all to use.
I need to go, but you know very well you got my whatever.
Thank you.
And we'll keep
you all informed as we go along, and likewise, we'd like to have
So
your input.
So you get our emails, and then email us whenever you're gonna have your workshop so we can attend.
Well, October 10th, we're planning on having a meeting. Kirby with planning is helping set it up along with Eileen and some others.
We'll email you about that.
It'll just be an informal meeting just to kind of get everybody having a conversation about it, and from there we'll strategize how to break it down and move forward with it.
I just couldn't help think watching those two videos that you can't watch them without thinking Laredo's done that or has that.
Yeah.
We have our Grammy winner.
Yes, we do.
Maybe we can get to do some ad-libbing or some talking on the video.
There's been so much that has happened in this community that material, yes, as far as making a video, promoting it, there's a lot. So I'm really excited about that.
Actually, Poncho Sanchez is the guy.
Oh yes, Poncho Sanchez.
The jazz great.
Grammy.
Yeah. He's born and raised here downtown. As a matter of fact.
And we just have such a rich culture. We want to embrace it. And
we read the applications and they're like, well, we have 100 years. Like, we have 260 some years. So
that's why I think the commission is so behind us getting this cultural district. They're really supporting us.
I think something very important for Laredo.
I think so too.
We've been due for a long time.
And I think the downtown really needs this.
Okay.
And the artists need it.
I'm sorry, but
they need
I'll see you.
a place to
see you all
meet and
See you at the theater.
Create.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you at the theater.
All right. We'll see you.
Do you have any questions?
Figuratively.
Hopefully not.
Not literally. Figuratively.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Do you have anybody that's bucking the idea that we need to go talk to?
At this stage, no. We've just kind of been doing it through the informal routes, just trying to get everybody having a conversation about it so we gain headway. But there's some critical things we need to do with the city to move it forward on that end.
And we'll talk about that October 10th.
And then you already have a master plan that the city has passed that talks about the things that need to, in terms of
culture,
terms of them being able to ascertain whether the city's behind it.
Yes, it's a comp plan.
Right, that that's
Fits
there.
right in.
It does. It's right in. And especially on the tail end of Yo-Yo Ma, it just really fits in. So it's like, the time's right. Let's do it.
I agree.
And
Well, where are we in this meeting?
Well, introducing the idea.
Yeah, we are, at this,
Oh, okay.
we skipped
We
everything
went
else.
ahead and did
We,
that.
no, we've done all the staff reports. We are in the discussion, items for discussion, and we skipped to the Laredo public art. Yeah, we took the C, we haven't done A, B, or D.
Oh, and you know what, sir, we need a really great name for the cultural district, so if y'all wanna start thinking about a great name. San Antonio has, Cultura, Zona Cultural.
Everybody else, the original Denton district, some are not so creative.
Yeah, some are not so creative, some are.
And we'll, and with some of the
Streets of Laredo.
Streets of Laredo, there you go.
I love that
I
name.
love that. And then we play the song in the background of our video.
Which there, Frank has like.
There's a million versions of that song.
Yeah, 1,500 versions, and one in Japanese.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Oh yeah. You need to.
That would be amazing.
Have you seen the, is it the Molly Islands documentary that has Streets of Laredo in it? It's all over the place.
I know.
It's famous, that just.
Let me ask something.
It's sold
Where would
also.
this be situated? Like, where would you do it?
It's downtown.
Okay.
So
Right now,
it is
downtown.
It's downtown in the Penumbra, right?
No, one of the, you know,
They
one
call
of
it-
the.
It's the downtown and some art.
Maybe
Right.
some art.
Because a lot of the downtown needs to be redone or something.
Well,
It
that's
looks,
what we're hoping
there's a
will
lot of
happen.
bars. You don't want.
They want bars.
Well, they do want bars.
It's everything
They want
related to
bars, they want
It
restaurants, they
just-
want hotels,
this looks
they want
gorgeous.
businesses.
Well, they only show
Can
the
we
gorgeous
do
part.
that?
Yeah, show the gorgeous parts.
Everybody just shows the gorgeous part.
Well, look, our Longview did have, I think prior to this, with some research, it showed that months before this, they had a campaign, they raised $3,000 to help put vinyl decals on windows. Every city has struggles with their downtown. This is why this program was created 10 years ago, was to help enliven these districts and grow them. So that's the intent, not just civic pride, but cultural tourism throughout Texas.
Right.
So they know, we all are battling the same issues.
Definitely.
Yeah, we also have a comedy scene that they, I'm thinking of the things that they didn't include that we
The
have.
music, poetry, the food, the bar, it's anything that's related to culture.
Spoken word, comedies, the comedy scene.
Even risk and the environment and the river, so we've got a lot of components.
Together.
You know, when they did that one on, when Longview first started and it was broken down into the squares, they had like, I think it was more than 9, they might have had 12 squares. I mean, we could have a lot more than that, or we might have just the names of all the different things, you know, coming in and coming in on the screen. Because we have so much going on.
Right.
We have more than 12 squares.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well,
So
thank you.
Paseo de los Indios, which is our trade route, since the 1700s. And the way that we did the land by porciones, that's why the downtown looks the way it does. And that's probably a good thing to.
It'd be a great thing to include in
kind
there.
of.
Get some matachines filmed in front of the cathedral, which again, we didn't see there was no religious
It's
element.
hard, it's like 50 pages and it's 200 words here, 200 words here, 5 minutes here, so it's gonna be tough to get it all squeezed in there.
But there's
Yeah, but all our
snippets.
churches
Yeah,
done
that's a
it.
5-minute video, that's a lot of
And
pictures.
cathedral going through the
Oh, the
renovations.
the renovations, yeah. That would be great too, so show that. It'd be really good to go inside and show.
Excellent.
And spoken word, you gotta keep it to 3 minutes, so we're experts at that.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what do we do, back up?
So we go back up to A, or you can do C and D and then A. But we've already done B and we've done everything above that.
The City of Laredo Port Laureate Saloon, did we discuss that?
No,
we
not
skipped
that.
that because,
Okay. Is there somebody here?
No, it's me. You have two
Okay.
applications. We have to, you don't have to go through it. This is based on some of the other cities that have that program. So here's a draft application. But there are some items that need to be considered before we go through with it. The goal is to maybe have it awarded in April, which is National Poetry Month. I don't know if you want to go ahead and take a look at the application, the guidelines, criteria. You don't have to vote on it today. but I would like some guidelines as to whether you want it to be a nominated position, or do you want people to self-apply, or allow both of them?
I think both. What do you think? Nominated? Apply.
Was there an ordinance created that specifies all of that?
No, they were just instructed, it was under a city council, and they instructed the Fine Arts and Culture Board to come up with the guidelines and to initiate the program.
Yeah.
Well, we all need help doing that all.
I would think that, because if it's nominated, who would nominate this person?
Someone from, well, no, somebody from the community. That's the way San Antonio has it.
Okay, so if people from the community nominate people, but then somebody who wants to be in there doesn't get nominated, so I would say both.
Both? It can be.
I would say both.
I've looked at cities across the country. There's some that is self-application. You apply for it.
Right.
And like San Antonio, they take nominations.
I don't know, I think
that's a good idea.
both. Because he might know somebody, or, somebody might say him, right, because he's a poet. And then, but there might be other poets out there that maybe are a different kind of poetry, or, whatever, that want to apply, that maybe we don't know about. Maybe there's somebody out there writing poetry we don't know about, So I think both.
Okay. Yeah,
What, do you have to make a motion?
No, I can come back and bring you the, an application that includes both.
Okay.
I separated because I didn't know which one you would like.
Right, okay. Oh, I see, nomination or application. Okay.
Other criteria, what kind of terms would you like? What I've seen is 2-year terms.
Yeah, that's what you have here.
I put it in there, but it's up to you. You want it to be a longer term, shorter term, yearly? And that's something for the commission to decide. I know at the last meeting, you voted to have an honorarium or a stipend.
Mm-hmm,
and I did include that in the application.
And that would come out of?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of what?
It's gonna have to come out of one of the departments. The money
that they're allotting to this commission, or what?
No, it's not.
No,
that's just brick and mortar for the ordinance, and Viviana will talk to you about that.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the money they give us, but they only give us money for the mural projects right now.
And
we're asking for money for other stuff.
Yes, no, and that didn't happen, so.
No, oh, okay.
But it can come out of a department.
Okay. All right. So what do you all think? A 2-year term?
Good, that gives everybody a lot of.
In the other ones, as other cities, it's usually a 2-year term.
Okay. And then it says conduct at least 4 public readings of original poetry each year.
That's also
based on
yes, on other cities. There's some cities that just require 1 initiative and 1 program per year, but that is up to you.
Create unique programming or initiative for April Poetry Month to enhance awareness of poetry in schools, libraries, community at large. 1 public reading is requested for the month of April. So I would think that there should be 4.
Per year.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Compose poetry for special occasions and ceremonial purposes as requested by the mayor and our city council, wow. And or the Fine Arts and Culture Commission. That's cool.
I mean, it could be none, or maybe.
Yeah. Create positive community connections to promote practices and celebrate inspiring reading and writing and poetry. That sounds good. I think so. So they have to have published work?
That's another thing. I've seen a trend where academic published versus the poet of the people.
Yeah.
Something more informal, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And that I'd like you to
that should be,
chime in on it.
That could be limiting.
It is. And like San Antonio, they have a lot of people.
Of course.
So that's another.
I mean, I think that's limiting. For me right there, I don't think they need to have published work. But
It's up to you.
Where's my committee?
It
What do you
is
guys
limited.
think about that?
Well,
How many
I
poets in the world have
I
published
can
work?
always do both sides of that.
Yes.
The reason that you want published poetry is because that creates a recognition of the fact that the poetry has been reviewed by an editorial board or somebody like that at college, and that the poetry reaches a certain level of expertise or whatever. And then the other way is to reward the poet of the people, people who do spoken word or self-published or whatever, because you almost have to be a dedicated writer to be published. It opens up possibilities for collegiate, professors and people like that to have been published. But I think what would happen there would be that the samples that you turn in would be the ones that would convince whoever's the deciding factor, because there's a lot of people that write very well, but that just don't get around to publishing. And then there's a lot of people who have worked very hard and published, but very little of the poetry is about Laredo.
We could put that in the application. If you publish,
let us know. Yeah. So it could be. So it doesn't have to say they have to have published work.
Well, we could say published works, not recommended but not required or something.
Not required. Yes.
Recommended.
But if you say have a compelling portfolio, can be published or not.
It's very different.
See, it says none that are self-published or by a vanity press.
And we can get rid of that, and that's the academic.
Yeah, okay, so I think that should be both, okay? And of course, the history of activity in Laredo,
community involvement.
And or teaching. Be an expert in the field of literary arts. How do you qualify for that?
I think the publishing and we can get rid of that.
Professionals in literary arts might have received awards demonstrating involvement in local literary arts groups and have published literary work, ideally in the field of poetry. See, that's a little limiting too. Ability to make positive community connections, be a current resident of Laredo, pass a standard background check. I think maybe we can just change some of the wording.
Yes, and that's why I brought it before you.
Okay.
I think the distinction, just so that people understand, there's a lot of very good poets that believe that poetry isn't made to be read and performed. It's meant to be read and digested,
Right.
Internalized and used to heal. And then there's people that use it that believe that
it's for the public.
Yes, like Maya Angelou, for example, is an example of a poet who probably does both, but the impression of her poetry was meant that her performance was what made the poetry very meaningful. And then there's people that just wrote it, you never heard her perform it, but other people perform it and it reads very well. So it just depends what the city wants the poet laureate to do.
Yeah, I think that we have to fix this. Yeah.
We can get rid of that. And that again is towards the academic publishing.
It can say demonstrate involvement in local literary arts groups and have, it doesn't have to say to have. Yeah, we need to maybe just.
Not even have that. No, that's fine.
Because you're already saying establish a history of activity in the Laredo community and readings, publications, public presentations, and our teaching. So you kind of already.
Okay.
The other things I think are fine. The first one, no, or can be, or self-published or whatever.
Okay.
And then I guess that one has to come out.
It can just be a compelling portfolio.
Yes,
period.
Yes, I think so. What do you all think? Opinions?
Well, I personally would like for it to be diverse. In other words, give a lot of people an opportunity
to apply.
But the argument, just to be fair about it, the discussion out there is whether everybody, just like people look at music and they'll say, well, there's classical music and jazz and whatever, and it's usually not the musicians that make that distinction about whether it has any kind of artistic value. It's people who say, well, I don't listen to country, so I don't think, I don't listen to jazz, or I don't listen to blues, or I listen to classical music. Poetry is the same way. Spoken word is very emotional. It elicits a response. It's kind of like church. And then there's people that say, yeah, but that panders to the, like you say, to the people. And then there's other very, really nicely written poetry that kind of captures a very quiet meditation on something. And so that can be equally powerful. So hopefully what you would hope is that the poet would do more than one style. So that you could have something to look at.
Well, I think even if you're, like you're saying, the second type of poet, if you write for books, or you write to put it in a book, or I'm sure they do readings of their own poetry. I mean, that's still reading your poetry, that's still speaking to the community, have a poetry reading. It might not be spoken word, it might just be this person reading his words or her words and the emotion that they feel when they wrote that. I mean, I think that emanates from there. So I think
that's what I think it's diverse.
You've given me direction. I know what the commission is thinking. Next meeting, I'll send it to you beforehand, so you can look at it. I'll put them together and come up with another application.
And I think what the city is looking for is for that. Hopefully, what they're looking for is that seminal poem that, City of Broad Shoulders. Something that captures the essence of what Laredo is, and then is able to communicate every 2 years with another voice. Whether a younger voice or an older voice, or I think that's what they're looking for. I think the way I heard it from one of the city council members was that in a very short space you're able to capture the spirit of your city. So I think that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think so. But I think there's probably a lot of people out there who might qualify.
Who write and just never have an opportunity like this.
So yeah.
What do you think of the that they have to be a resident and have lived here 3 years beforehand?
I don't know.
And have to be here the 2 years that they're assigned. That's what I saw in some of the. They have to live here while they're the Laredo.
Because you're saying they're the poet laureate of Laredo.
Okay.
So isn't that important?
There must be a connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And
no, definitely. They have to be a resident, and I've seen some, and they have to have lived here 3 years prior. I mean, that's up to you all.
I mean, how do you talk about Laredo, or how do you?
You just got here.
Yeah. So I mean.
Well,
It could be somebody who used to live here and has come back, but I would say they have to live here.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and live.
I think
that there.
Prove residency for 5 years.
And background check, I noticed that,
Yeah, you don't want your poor lawyer to have potential issues.
Okay, so are we on to the next discussion and possible action on the Laredo Public Art Program Ordinance?
And that, Angie did make a copy of the one that, that you sent out, so you have it in your packet.
Yes, thank you, because mine is all red.
We couldn't get it any bigger, this is the way it printed, so.
This is fine.
And I don't know what you wanna do, do you wanna look at it, or?
Well,
and
we've kind of looked at it, so.
Okay.
I mean, I have, but I don't know, does everybody wanna read through this? Or do you wanna guide us, Vivi, or?
Come over here and sit here.
Do you wanna walk us through it? How's that? What I understand is that what is in black is what the city council has right now.
So,
isn't that it?
But it's what the attorneys have.
Well, so we met with the city attorneys, and they sent us their draft, which is everything that's not highlighted.
Right.
And then we
added.
The city attorney has this.
Yes. Okay. Except not this version.
Oh,
okay.
They have the one that they prepared.
Right. The one they did.
Right, and they were asking for whatever it is that.
It was a
recommendation.
Right, and so, but we can't show them that until it affects you guys. This is all for you all.
What is the timeline? Can they take it home and we'll bring it back up the next meeting, or?
Well, this is supposed to go to council October 7th.
Okay, then there is a
little bit of that.
Unless we, I don't know, unless we take it home. We can talk about it right now. If you all feel like you need to take it home, I don't know, maybe we could have a
special meeting, as long as we post 3 days ahead of time.
Then we could do that.
And it'll be just this one item.
This is really important.
Yes. Yes.
And I know if you haven't read it, it's a lot to sit here and process. But that's why, let's hear, Alyssa, and then if you all feel like we need more time, we can decide that, okay?
Right, so we wanted to strengthen the arts and culture ordinance that is in place right now, and so this most of the highlighted areas are
the Fine Arts and Culture Commission ordinance.
Yes, sorry. And so we went through the El Paso ordinance, and both the 2% and the fact their commission and public arts programs are together in the same ordinance, and so we took the best practices from there and have used similar language for the ordinance.
And what the yellow portion does is it adds specificity. I think that before I got on, from the moment that I got on this commission, Gail has had on the agenda item some kind of discussion about what our function is, what our role is, what are the parameters that we're working under. And what this does is it sets that up to in the specific terms that would be our I guess our constitution or our Bible. And
what is our role?
Yeah, what is our role? And then set up all of the different requirements, how conflicts of interest are administered and so forth, so that there's no gray area. And you notice that the council's doing that with regards to the amendments to the charter. They're trying to tighten up the language that's gray. And here it's because of the fact that the people that we supported in bringing this to the city went and studied this before they brought it to us, and I think of all the places that they looked at El Paso. El Paso have a similar situation to us. We're on the border. We have a very diverse cultural community, and then what they did is but then they track their progress with this kind of an ordinance, and that city has realized the kind of things that we've all agreed that we want our city to have. So we kind of nice copy, right? And they've added those things that were not included in the original draft given to the city attorney staff.
The city did look at different cities, and they took some things from cities that they liked that maybe we didn't think were so cool. But anyway, I'm just asking, right here where it's this case, it says the Laredo City Council recognizes the Fine Arts and Culture Commission ordinance needs to be amended to, is that like?
Oh, well, because there already is one that's amended.
Oh.
And, sorry, that exists, so.
Amended to?
For this.
Okay, perfect.
So,
I was just wondering why it was like.
It's just that legalese.
Right.
Just all the stuff that you see up front is what they wrote.
Okay.
And we just wanted to make sure that.
Right.
And so like the things that are added in yellow are very, like I'll just give you examples of a couple. Over here on D, it says the board shall select from its members a chairman and a vice chairman, and the board may adopt rules and regulations for the government of its own proceedings to carry out the purposes for which this board is created, not inconsistent with the charter and the ordinances of the city. This board shall hold regular meetings on a monthly basis with the exception of January and July, and keep a written record of its proceedings. Members of the board shall not hold any public. I think that's kind of just very basic stuff, but it's not in the ordinance. And so once it gets in there, members shall receive no compensation and shall have advisory powers only. So there we are. We're defined.
But the thing is
that's part already of the commissions and boards.
Well, we're talking about a different entity. Is that our entity? The Fine Arts and Culture Advisory Board? Is that us?
That's you all.
Okay.
I think it's just not, it should be commission.
We took out El Paso.
That's not
advisory.
There's other things that, I mean, it didn't relate to what, we don't have.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering
department
if this was like another.
No,
this is for us. Okay, perfect. Okay.
And so, for example, what's been included there is the public art master plan, which is something that has already been improved, but it's not mentioned in the ordinance. And so, I think all of this does is just tighten it up
and strengthens
and clarify.
did they actually submit a written statement about the people they were nominating for this?
In El Paso, they have like.
But did our group do them? Did our council members do them?
No,
just
but they did appoint people who.
No, I know. I was just wondering, because it says they have to submit information.
Oh, no, that comes from El Paso.
that needs to be El Paso, so I mean, this will all be,
right, okay.
So there's something
refined.
that jumps out at you that says, we don't think that should be in there.
Oh, I thought it was interesting, the part about serving staggered terms, because we're right now, if your council, the person who nominated you, gets voted out, then the next person nominates somebody else. And I guess if you're working as a cohesive group, that could be problematic in that you kind of, what if like 4 of them, you know, change all of a sudden, and then they're not up to par or up to speed.
And that's all the commissions, boards and committees fall under that ordinance, so, and that's the way it is.
So this is what? It's, how is it? That's the way it is.
Like you said, if you're,
just like you're on,
you can continue serving if the new
wants you there.
Wants you there.
Or you can get off, or they can take you off in a year. I mean,
and it's happened where they have somebody else and they appoint somebody else. So that's.
So what I was really liking was that they did put terms, that you're adding terms. Like if you get nominated, you get at least 2 years to work on this.
Well, in this one it's 2 4-year terms.
2 4-year terms.
But you can change that.
Well, so what I'm saying is, at least you have a consistency in the progress of the work we're doing. And then if you don't want to be there after X amount of years, you know, they'll put somebody else. So I think.
But it's just that your term is based on the term of a council member right now.
That's, which I don't agree with.
Then you're saying if that's an ordinance somewhere?
It is.
And that one needs to be amended.
Right, okay.
The commissioners and
the only
boards,
thing that
there's an ordinance
changes
for
is
that.
Yeah, there's an ordinance.
And then all of them fall under that one.
Okay.
What will happen is it'll mention up here that ordinance will be amended for the fine arts.
I think it should.
If they accept it, because right now.
Yeah, I know.
This is for
drummers. I think that's very important. I think that's very important. Right, I think that's very important, okay. So then all of this terms is like conditional, if we can amend that ordinance, right?
No, it's conditional if it's accepted by council.
Okay.
Council needs to, and really, your champion here has been Dr. Marta Martinez.
Yes.
So if he's in agreement, then.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so.
And there's a few paragraphs that are crossed out that we don't believe would, well, they sort of fall back on the 2% ordinance that's being proposed.
Oh, right.
So that's why we're hoping we can.
You want to tell them where that was?
Well, it's pretty.
It's under method of calculation, and there's no page number here, but if you look at.
Yeah, I see it.
Funding 17-42.
It's where it's coral, yellow, and purple. That's not coral.
So, like it's under C. First, they actually put exactly what was in the ordinance for El Paso verbatim, which was great for the 2% and what they were gonna provide, how they were gonna provide the set aside from the types of projects, which was magical.
And then
the method of calculation kind of changed that a little bit. Could be a lot, because what the El Paso one says is that in improvement projects that have to do with let's say streets and street improvements and utility improvements and all of that stuff, that it won't be considered. Sorry, and on the El Paso one says it'll be considered if the bonding or the agency that's providing the grant allows it.
Okay.
So it may not,
Right.
and it won't be set aside, but if it does, it will.
Right.
But in this one, it says, no way, no how. So that's kind of like a clawback from the original language of the 2%. The other one was, I think even, I didn't see it in any of the ordinances that we looked at from other cities, but apparently this one either came out of Dallas or somebody found it from Dallas, and it says when adopting the capital budget each year, which just happened, the city council may exclude individual capital improvement projects from the application of this division. So that means,
what's the point?
no, it could be every one of them, it could be two, it could be one, it could be all of them. Whatever. You know, so that kind of like,
yeah,
that kind of guts it.
guts it, right.
Then what do we do?
You can almost live with the one,
Yes.
this one, and then hopefully change it later at some point.
I agree.
Or try and get them both struck. But this other one, the second one is kind
bad.
Kind of, that's what that means, and honestly, it's not like it's put in there, this is what was added by, they were cobbling together in the
Yes.
ordinance, and they grabbed it all.
Right, and somebody grabbed one.
Right.
Because, I don't know why, but it's.
Well, I think the notion must be feeling that the council must be feeling that they've kind of lost control over individual, projects or something like that. But I just think that they have to trust that this commission and everybody else in the community is gonna, the 2% is minuscule compared to the overruns, the change orders, the different things that happen on projects like that. And so I just think that, the sentiment was that they were doing something very positive and recognizing that the art component too was good. And then they didn't have to go struggle to find funding because it's already set up. That's the favor that this does, or the impetus. It says, any artist that comes to the city that wants to do something on something, they send them to us. We look for a project, and we tell them what the projects are, and we tell them where the funding is, and so we already know all of that. They don't have to go carve out budget amendments, things of that nature.
Right.
But by doing that, that puts all the burden on them of looking forward for the whole year as to what's included and what's not included. They double their work there. So that's why I think that once this passed, it was just a bright line, and it doesn't. And of course, the language says that if it's not allowed by the grant, it's not allowed, and so they're covered legally.
Right. All in all, the El Paso, out of all of them that I've seen, and El Paso is minuscule really compared to the likes of Austin and Dallas. It doesn't. Austin and Dallas are in the top 5 largest cities of.
Well, for sure.
Of the United States.
Right.
So I guess clawbacks, or I guess imagine they're a little bit easier because the funding is so huge.
Right.
But.
So it's not comparable, so.
Well, no, and I mean also they've been around for a long time and they've been doing this for a long time, so. And they're used to it. They're used to having all of these things. So,
and their private sector already does stuff, art in their buildings
and
there.
we don't have that.
We don't have that luxury. We don't have massive.
So that's a good point that we should.
But going forward, I think what you all need to come to some consensus on is what you all want to ask the council to keep in this ordinance for sure.
Right.
And what you're because you don't want to lose the opportunity for even some of this money.
Right.
To come to you. So that's something that you and there's a meeting with the attorneys on tomorrow at 3.
Oh, okay.
So if you'd like to, whoever would like to, you two would like to join, or whomever, and we can talk to them while we're, or maybe you know, we can just,
Well, I would like to move that what's here, and again, we can, you know, vote against this, but that what's been brought to us and been looked at by, the committee that brought us this, that we took to the city, that they be authorized to represent, that we've taken a look at their suggestions for additions and deletions, and that they consider their representation to be our approval of those items.
But, what are you saying?
I'm moving it.
You're keeping this one?
which
No.
one?
The one we don't want?
No, I'm saying deletions and additions.
Oh, okay.
In other words, whatever that they've added, that we've looked at and we're okay with, and whatever they brought to us as suggested deletions, that be presented to the city staff tomorrow, obviously, so that they can have a
Okay.
position from the commission to.
All right, do I hear a
So
second?
present this copy to city staff.
Right, at that meeting,
Yes, tomorrow's meeting.
with the reasons why we don't agree with.
Is there just a little moment of discussion after you all vote?
Okay, a second? Anybody seconding this motion? Hello? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So, all opposed? Anybody opposed? Okay, so it's been moved and passed.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just one little thing that I would like for you all to, I want you to make sure that you all see yourself in, represented as, because in the El Paso, it does say, you know, you know, you have to be up. Can I read it?
Yes,
And then
please,
you
yeah.
all, and then you all, okay. So it says, at least 2/3 of the board members appointed by city council will be required to demonstrate an expertise or experience in the following areas and professional fields: performing arts, visual arts, media or literary arts, arts education, architecture or landscape architecture, visitor industry, galleries and art businesses, marketing, and public relations and organizational or strategic planning. At least 3 of the remaining shall demonstrate experience in education or expertise in art history.
So Colin and Bobby are gonna play.
I'm also in education, so it's
Yes, Julio's gonna do a soliloquy. She's gonna be painting while we're talking, but I'm just gonna dance, and I'll do a poem, and we got it covered.
We already
so.
fit.
Everybody.
We already fit this
Yeah.
description.
Okay, all right, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure everybody.
Can I just ask,
And I see in the
it's not
shower,
as
so-
though we must have representation in all these fields. It is, because I read an or,
What, sorry,
you like architecture,
what?
Or you don't have to.
so.
No.
It's an or, right?
It's
They have-
an or,
it's
it's
an
an
or.
or, a representation from,
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
least.
Hector's been doing public relations all his life, you know, so.
Any of those
Okay,
things,
I just
right.
wanted to
This
be
is
clear
a
on that.
multitude of qualities that.
And I think that goes to the individual council person who nominates you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's on them to say who I want on this board.
Right.
And of course, I think that all of them did their due diligence when
Of
they
course, I
appointed.
did, I did too, which is great.
I mean,
Yeah.
Martha's impeccable, you know, she's not here, but I mean,
Education.
obviously, she's a principal of the fine arts. school.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure so
Yes.
that everybody's represented.
Yes,
Okay.
I think
It's
that
because
is.
you learn the word, ¿y qué saben ellos?
Who are you?
How funny you are.
Ms. Solis, will there still be a meeting, will the commission still meet before October 7th?
I don't know, it's up to you all, we can post a meeting and just have this one
I
item.
think we should.
Yeah, I think after the meeting, you all will be able
After
to tell
the
us
meeting, they have
what they came
tomorrow,
back
if
with.
any of us can go or whatever. But I think we definitely should try and get together before the city council meeting, and then we know exactly what we're presenting, and we're all behind it 100%. Yes?
Just give me the date, I just
Yes.
need to post
So-
72 hours
Especially since
before.
our future is at stake here.
Yes, the future of this group here, yes, I agree.
Okay, it's October, when is the meeting? October?
Well, the city council's meeting October 7th.
That's a Monday. So we should probably be the Thursday before, which is
And they have this
October 3rd?
meeting
October 3rd?
October 3rd.
I'll be out of town. that
You'll be
day.
out of town.
October 3rd.
Are we allowed to
Conference call.
conference call them into the meeting?
Well, I mean,
By
I'm
you?
not.
They don't have to be present, okay. then pick a day, since you're gonna be on time.
Yeah, pick a day that week.
Well, I can do any day that week except for that one.
Except for that day.
Wednesday before, the
What about
or even the
Tuesday?
The first.
What about Tuesday? Mondays are not good for me.
Okay, Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday the second.
First.
Like, the first,
I'm sorry,
October first, is that okay with everybody? That we could meet here, right? Okay,
What,
so
in
it's
the
a
evening,
called
sorry, is
meeting?
that the evening?
In the evening?
What time, same time?
Same time.
I'm gonna be out.
You're gonna be out, you won't be here. Okay.
Are you here that week, any day? Cause he says he's available every day except Thursday.
What about Wednesday?
Wednesday? At 5:30?
That's 5:30 should be fine for me,
I don't know, do you all wanna make it earlier? It doesn't matter,
I
it's
think
not our
everybody's at
regular
work.
meeting. Everybody's at work.
Yeah.
So we wanna do it Wednesday?
Then you have to come to the silent movie.
For the silent movies?
And Tammany, we have
Oh.
a fantastic organist going.
Oh, wow.
From New York City.
Okay, so we're gonna have a meeting Wednesday,
Wednesday the second,
a called meeting.
special call meeting, one item.
At 5:30.
So.
Are we good with that?
Yep.
Do I have to have a motion and a second and all that?
I so move.
Second,
I'll
anybody second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Madam Chair, we could go back to, communications and announcements.
Uh-huh.
Ms. Eileen Ramos would like to
Sure.
speak about the civic pride
Yes,
initiative.
thank you. We had this past Monday at council a presentation about our civic pride campaign. Mostly we already know next year is the 265th anniversary of the founding of Laredo and the 180th of the Republic of the Rio Grande. And under the umbrella of the anniversary, we want to begin or kickstart a civic pride campaign. We believe that all the efforts, starting with this commission, but all the efforts from history organizations and all the organizations in the city are during the civic pride campaign, and we thought that the anniversary would be a great vehicle for that campaign. And so we want to invite you all. We are about to set up the date for the first workshop, but we have identified 3 committees. One is history, the other one is arts and culture, and the third one is events. And we want all the community to come together. This is something that we don't want to do in a vacuum. This is something that has to be done completely together with the community. And so I would like to invite you. I'll be sending through Maria the invitation and the date and the details very soon. But I wanted to give you kind of heads up of what we're doing and what's coming. We want the whole year to be the celebration. We want the whole year to be part of the Civic Pride campaign. And so we're planning to have events happening every month. Not necessarily new events. Sometimes just highlighting the events that are already happening is enough to get people interested, but all under the umbrella of the 265th, the 180, and the Civic Pride campaign. So this is something that we're doing. We're working together with PIO and the different departments in the city. So I wanted just to give you a heads up. As you get that communication, you know what it's all about. Thank you.
What's the budget for it?
Yeah. He said, what's the budget for that? I have a play for you. I wrote a play about La Última Noche de Antonio Zapata.
Oh, really? There's a lot of things that we believe can be done.
Yes, I know.
And are gonna.
It's only a 10-15 minute play, so it's not long and boring. It's quick. It's about his last night before he's executed by Santa Ana.
That's
Well,
and I'm sorry, we do have a budget. It includes branding, includes a website, some events, and we also have, because we want it to be a really big thing.
Yeah.
And so we do have some money for events, and it's mostly for the new events that will be created for this. We also want to highlight the Founders Day a little bit more than has usually been. I don't think the money will go like, we're not gonna get that big of a budget to fund every event that's gonna happen, but we're also looking into another of those communities that we have identified sponsorship. So we also wanna bring the business community of Laredo into the picture.
We have fantastic ideas here. So,
All we need is money.
One of the clips that, I think it was on that second video, there was a reenactment. Did y'all see that? I think those are a lot of fun also for.
Oh, yes, yes.
They've done that before. I've seen reenactments at LC, and then done by the Heritage
You were gonna
Foundation.
say LCC, I know.
Yeah, I'm from the LJC.
Yes, LJC, like he's not saying LJC.
I know. It took a while to get that.
Just the last item, then is the scheduling of the next
meeting.
actual meeting.
Okay.
What, we didn't talk about the status of existing city murals or status of art house.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did already.
Oh, okay.
All of, everything's been covered.
Okay, that's fine. Very good. Okay, so the next meeting is going to be?
Is scheduled for the 17th?
Yes.
October 17th.
Okay.
At 5:30. But we'll let you know.
I'm putting in an order for the big burger basket. I'm just kidding.
Hey, we're trying new things.
That's
very good. By the way, thank you.
Thank you very much for doing that.
The unrich is very good, but very messy. It's just with lettuce.
Oh, that's without the bread.
Yeah, it's with lettuce.
Oh, there's an unwich? I
An
didn't know
unwich.
that.
I thought it was onions. So
Huh?
I thought it was onions that you were talking about.
No, I did pull out the onions, kind of like onions.
So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is
Thank
adjourned.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Don't know, I don't wanna leave because I had to walk out my office, called me and I didn't hear what she said.
Oh, no, I need you to hear the black. I mean, I need your sister.
Oh, she's talking about the
Alligator
celebration of the 250th celebration of the and 180 of the Republic of Korea.
How are we doing? It's too